Next
Yeah.
up, best animation.
I
Demon
absolutely
Slayer, Kimetsu, the Hashira Training Arc. Best animation. I'm assuming that was leaned more on that final episode of that season where
Yeah.
Ufotable put millions and millions into that episode. And if that is the case, I'm not upset.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
only one I could see coming second to them is probably Kaiju number 8 when it comes to animation. But that last episode, I have no problem with this. This winning best continuing, I do have an issue with best animation. If we're looking like the
just for
entire
one
season,
episode though.
well, no, the whole season was done well, and there's nothing in there that you're just like they dropped the ball or they
they
kind of
just didn't
sped it
have to.
along
Yeah,
or
they didn't
cheaped
have to
us.
animate that many action scenes in this one. The
Yeah.
animation that they did do, like when the Wind Hashira was fighting the was it Snake or Miss Hashira, the Snake Hashira, when they were doing their fights and they're just like they're moving so fast I can't see. So there were pockets of great animation, but I'm saying like I don't. It was only 8 episodes, but if your last episode was that hitting on that animation, I
I
look.
mean, it was pretty
I
insane.
I
That was a
voted for it.
wild episode, man.
I
It was
voted for
crazy.
it because I'm just like that episode, Jesus. But
It's
again,
I think it's the consistency too. Demon Slayer doesn't give you the lazy episode or the here's about 8 frames of just garbage because we just wanted to fill it. They usually take a lot of time, and it shows. So I think they did hats off. They deserve this because they put the time in. Now, if this was a category like best creative animation, like the most
original
create, I probably would
animation
have
or
went with
something like that.
I
DanDaDan.
don't know. Actually, if you would have said creative, I still would have. So when I thought of the winner for this, I was consider. It's not that just the animation that I consider, but how are they able to show, especially during action scenes when they're switching between panels like really fast, and then they're also incorporating CGI with the 2D animation, which
Yeah,
Demon Slayer does, but so does Kaiju number 8.
and so
Um,
yeah,
how does that look? How does that smooth transition look? And I picked Kaiju number 8. Um, I agree with Amanda. I thought Frieren was absolutely gorgeous,
oh,
but then
it's
you have to.
beautiful.
Unfortunately, I had to think about that last episode of Demon Slayer, and then I always consider Freeman's great, hand drawn. It looks amazing. It's gorgeous. Like the whole setting, everything is beautiful. But then I do think about well, then what do animators do when they switch between those panels so much as they do? And is the animation consistent as it's getting into those action scenes and then going back to when it's not action? And then when they include CGI, I picked Kaiju number 8 for this over Demon Slayer
Hmm.
only because I appreciated that part of Kaiju number 8 and it didn't just base it off of one episode. I based it off that
The
entire
entire
They're
season, yeah.
consistent too. They are. I agree with you. They're consistent. Like Kaiju number eight's consistent with its art for every episode. They do a good job with that, especially action. They don't drop the ball on that either. So I mean, this wasn't a bad lineup. As people comparing these all
yeah.
together, this was a pretty good selection of guys to go against each other. I mean, you know, yeah,
Yep. So I think pretty much we're in consensus. Like we can understand this
this one, yeah.
this one, right?
All of these studios are fantastic. I haven't seen Delicious in Dungeon, but what I was reading, and this will go into a different category with
Yeah.
Delicious in Dungeon for me. I heard Delicious in Dungeon's animation was, and it's
It's
the different category
yeah.
was also really
It's
freaking.
gorgeous.
It's very
Yeah,
detailed. They put a lot of attention to detail. So that's where I feel they fall into this category and they belong here
yeah.
because they do put the time and effort into the details of their anime. So
Yeah, I think this is a hard category, and I actually thought this was a more fun one
Yeah.
because it's now a competition of studios, and I think it's just going to up the game a little bit more for studios
yeah,
too. So it
Yep.
helps for future animes. I'm excited to see
Definitely.
how that goes.
Definitely a stat category. Best character design, DanDaDan. And I have no complaints with this one at all. Outside of
Nope.
Kaiju number 8 was my number 2.
Same.
But yeah, it's hands down. Like being EJ, we're kind of talking behind the scenes. I mean, just right off the bat, you got your standard humans, right? And then you turn the corner, Turbo Granny. Then you have the aliens, and then you have that spirit that came and showed up at the house. I'm just like, gosh, man, like every episode, you just find a new way to draw an amazing new character,
Yeah.
and then to tie it in, like, the little fighting mantis shrimp, and then you turn that into a
Yeah.
monster and shit.
Yeah.
And then you gave him a backstory, like, I came here because my family back on my, I was like, yo, this shit is so crazy, but I'm here
Yeah.
for it,
That's what I mean. Creativity. If it was just a category of creativity, man, they should have gotten all the flowers, because
oh yeah.
it
Yeah.
just, it's so and so original but intricate, and I enjoyed every little idiosyncrasy that they put in there to, like, oh hey, Turbo Granny now left him and is in and possessed the statue of the Fortune Kitty. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
But then it's a hilarious addition to the art as it's going on. So it was, and then the complete difference in like characters, like I was mentioning before when we talked about DanDaDan.
Yeah.
Usually the hero guy is not the nerdy kid in the class that's quiet and reserved. Okay.
Mhm.
It's usually this, either the brooding dark character or the really courageous, Tanjiro. So, and the main character girl is usually not the outspoken, crazy, what do you call it? Almost like an outcast of the class.
Yeah,
Not
they're also like very shy, just
they're
kind of
usually
save
very
me trope a little
reserved.
bit.
Yeah, smart, don't make mistakes. These characters feel real, and then you throw in the like Obachan and stuff, and you're just like, what in the world? But it's awesome. This is so awesome.
Yeah.
So I totally think they agree to, or this, I agree with this. I don't think that some of the other are so original, so in this category, Kaiju number 8 definitely has got some originality when it comes to the characters and everything that happens with them. And Frieren's not original, but the character depth and the time that they put into them, they belong in this category too.
Yeah.
So I have no problems with this one.
I think DanDaDan is the perfect anime that you're like, who the protagonists are, but you become so in love with everyone else as well. Like Acrobatic Silky is the one that I will always think about. Like that wasn't even, that's a character that's not continuing. Like that was, yes, it's a part of like one of the characters, but like just how they incorporated that story, they just, I don't know. Like they lovingly created the entire cast so that you felt some type of connection and you always remember at least a little bit of everybody and not just focus on the one or two protagonists.
Yeah. And I mean, when you can take the little mannequin from your, health bio class and turn that into
into
like a love story,
an emotional attached character where you're just like, oh, he didn't make it, no. And
I know you're all like cheering for this side character that's amazing.
Yeah, dude.
Like, oh, come on, you almost got it.
They are out of pocket. They're, like I said, they're knocking it out the park over there. So it's good to see that. Next up, best director. And categories were I'm gonna mess up some names. Fuga Yamashiro from DanDaDan. We got Haru Sotozaki from Demon Slayer. Kichiro Saito from Frieren. Megumi Ishitani from One Piece. Norihiro Naganuma from Apothecary Diaries, and then Yoshiro Miyajima from Delicious in Dungeon. Frieren won. I have no complaints about that. Anybody have any gripes, or anybody could see anybody being kind of close in this one? I would say outside of Delicious in Dungeon, I haven't really got too much into the Apothecary Diaries, but Frieren was amazing. And when I look at director, I'm looking at, because obviously you have the manga, the storyboard already cut out, but like Jackie was saying, the transitions, how you want to angle the quote unquote camera in the thing to relay certain points, small things like that can make what in the manga could have looked like a casual conversation mean a little bit more, or put a little bit more emphasis on something. So normally I would lean more towards your story driven kind of character developing anime. when it comes to when I'm looking at trying to give directors their props. And outside of Frieren, the only one I could see up there is probably Delicious in Dungeon. So I have no complaints about Frieren winning this one. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Eric.
I absolutely agree with you, Willie. I feel like Frieren knocked it out the park as far as cinematography, if that can be kind of looked at. I mean, the way the camera angles are, the flowing, the pacing, the back, the time and effort put into the background of the characters, is background of the world, and even just watching a simple traveling convey the director. I feel like they take a part in a lot of that pacing, and that pacing is so important, especially to this story, because of the fact that we're seeing this journey. I mean, journey here is like you were talking ages, so they convey that well in the pacing, like just her overall demeanor of nonchalant going through life, like I got all the time in the world. So when she's walking around and stuff, whoever decided that, which is probably the director, focused on the journey of her walking from one spot to another. It carries that feeling with those scenes. So I thought they did great. I have no complaints here.
Yeah, I know you haven't seen Apothecary Diaries. It really is like an awesome story. It's different.
Mhm.
We'll go into genres soon, and I have a little bit of a complaint for how Crunchyroll decides what their genres are
Yeah.
for the awards. Um, and I don't think there are enough animes with a mystery genre. And Apothecary Diaries definitely has that mystery drama type of feel to it. And I think that it's one of the greatest
Ethan.
ones that I've seen in a while. And it helped me get more into mysteries because they haven't, like, Shonen's been like dominating the game for a few years now. That mystery, I think, has been kind of not finding its way into the anime world, if that makes sense. It's been a lot of action, adventure, fantasy, isekai, all that stuff. Um, but if I have to compare that to all the other ones that are on here, I haven't seen the One Piece fan letter. I don't know if I would agree with it being on here either way, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree with you, EJ. Just like the way that the director chose to take what the creator wrote and drew and then was able to then put on display for like anime watchers to see, I think it's just gorgeous because they also help with the animation, what they want to see and what they think should look the best. And I think all of it is just this makes 100% sense to me.
Cool.
Agree.
Look at that.